Well, good day, our friends. It's your old pal Jordan the Lion and the beautiful Katie.
Hello.
And we are in Wilmette, Illinois today, outside of Chicago. And we are going to be doing a great one today. I'm excited. Maybe the funniest family in comedy movies in our generation, the Murrays. We are going to show you where the Murray brothers grew up. Bill, Brian-doyle, Joel, John, all the greats, where they actually caddied, that gave them the experiences that Caddyshack was written about. And we're gonna see, they all own a restaurant together, so we're gonna check that out together too. Daze with Jordan the Lion, and you all, and Katie. It begins right now. Kind of surprising to think about, but this house was the home of the Murray brothers. There were 4 that we know of, and then 2 more brothers, and what, 2 sisters, Katie? So it was a family of 8 children and mom and dad. Maybe, like I said, the funniest family we've ever known on television, in my opinion. Some of the great stories that I had heard was that when they were growing up, they kind of had a story like Chris Farley. They loved to make their dad laugh. That was like a big thing, was at the dinner table. We were reading that their dad would take forever to eat, but all the kids would eat super fast. And so the kids would just sit there and try and make him laugh the whole time. So the dad must have been pretty funny. And their mom was really funny too, because I've heard all the brothers in like different interviews, especially Bill and Brian-doyle, saying how funny their mom was, and that when they needed a laugh or where they just, you know, needed a cheer up or something, they would call her and talk to her on the phone. They said she would just say the funniest things. So Bill said he used to record her, and that's where he would come up with some of the lines he would say in movies or some of the characters, things like that. So it's crazy to actually see where they grew up. Bill Murray, Brian-doyle Murray, Joel Murray, and John Murray, all are actors, all people that I'm a huge fan of. And Brian-doyle Murray had told stories that he went to Second City, and there he befriended Harold Ramis. And then Harold Ramis and Brian-doyle Murray came up here and picked up Bill one day and took him down to Chicago with him. And that's where Bill's career started as well. So then, when we were watching the Chris Farley documentary, Joel Murray's on there talking about when he was at Second City, that Chris was in Chicago doing improv and everything there. So most of the brothers all got their careers from Second City. Now, Brian-doyle was the first one that was an entertainer out of the group, and he really got his start from somewhere literally right up the road that we're gonna go to. It was Caddyshack, right, Katie?
It was Caddyshack, absolutely.
For National Lampoon, he and Harold Ramis both wrote Caddyshack together. And ironically, we read that they both were caddies at Indian Hills, where we're gonna go, and that Harold only got to do it for a short time because apparently there was some discrimination for him being Jewish.
Yeah, so they never even met, actually, I think they said at that point.
Yeah, they didn't know each other during that time, but didn't we read that their dad, the Murray brothers' dad, was a caddy or was a member of that golf club as well?
I think so, yes.
So we are gonna take you over and show you that, but I mean, just to give you a scope of all the greatness, if you've never seen John Murray, right away, just go watch Moving Violations. It will knock you out. It is, I think maybe, you know, he's only got like 10 credits to his name. He was in Scrooged, and Moving Violations was really the thing that he was a star of. I had read that he was more interested in the directing side of everything. But I think probably he was so much like Bill that that people would, you know, almost typecast him as too much Bill Murray. But then, of course, we love Joel Murray. Yeah. And Joel was in, what's our favorite?
One Crazy Summer.
Yeah.
As George Calamari.
And he's the one that ends up getting buried in the sand.
Yes. The guy in the chili.
Yeah, the guy sits down with a lawn chair over top of him, is eating the chili.
He has so many great lines. I also remember when he's on the boat and it's John Cusack's trying to talk to Demi Moore, and all of a sudden George just comes right into their face and just shoves a chili dog in, and he just goes, "Chili dog." We say that all the time. I'm like, I quote that so much in life, but he's just fantastic in that.
I also loved him, and Bobcat Goldthwait did a crazy movie called God Bless America that Joel's the star of. He was also in like 120 episodes of Dharma and Greg, and was also in Mad Men. But then Brian-Doyle Murray, you're wearing the Wayne's World hat.
Yes.
Do we even want, I mean, we could be listing off Brian-Doyle Murray,
Mr.
genius.
Vanderhoff.
Yeah, Noah Vanderhoff in Wayne's World.
Yes, Noah's
He was
Arcade.
Frank Shirley in Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
He was the Camp Comfort clerk and Vacation.
In Vacation, absolutely.
And then he was the Caddyshack head of the caddies. And we found out that a lot of that was really based off of real people, and in that character in particular, the head caddy, when they were there, wore that same hat and acted just like that.
And he has so many great lines. I always think of him saying, "Hey, pick up that blood," like, or "You that candy wrapper, pick it up." He has just, it's such a great character. It's like everything about that show just kind of ties together, and it's a classic. You can even go back to the Farley Brothers documentary that we saw. They watched that as kids, and that was their favorite thing to watch. So I mean, this started so many things.
So so Bill was, I think, maybe the big breakout star of Caddyshack along with Rodney Dangerfield. But Bill had done so much stuff. Saturday Night Live, Brian-Doyle Murray also did Saturday Night Live. But seems like when one is in a movie, they would, it would be like if Bill was in Scrooge, he was a star of Scrooge, Brian-Doyle Murray would play his father, John played his brother. When you watched any movie they were in, they would always get each other apart. Groundhog Day, Phil Connors, Bill Murray, but then the head groundhog honcho is Brian-Doyle Murray. So just to give you an idea of how much Bill Murray has really done in his career, one of my favorite things he did was Meatballs. That was like the first starring thing as far as movies and everything that he actually did. But his list of movies are insane. From Meatballs to Where the Buffalo Roam when he was playing Hunter S. Thompson, Caddyshack, Stripes, Tootsie, Ghostbusters. He was in The Jerk and got cut. And actually when he filmed his part in The Jerk, he told Carl Reiner, like, "You don't need this part. Like, this is pointless." And then they ended up cutting him out of it. So then he was in The Razor's Edge. He was in Little Shop of Horrors, Scrooge, Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, Quick Change, What About Bob, Groundhog Day, Ed Wood, Kingpin. I mean, oh my God, him and Ed Wood and him and Kingpin, unbelievable. Larger Than Life, Space Jam, Cradle Will Rock, Charlie's Angels, The Royal Tenenbaums, Lost in Translation. And then Bill, he became so popular, he started doing something that nobody in the industry does. He basically fired his manager and put word out that he has a 1-800 number, and if you want to hire him, you call and make a pitch to that 1-800 number. Did you know that, Katie?
I had no idea, but
he did.
I could see him do it, though.
Now listen to this. He actually had a big snafu because of that. He liked the idea of working with the Coen brothers, and when the director of the Garfield movie called and wanted Bill to be in it, he saw that the director's name was Coen, Evan Coen, and he thought it was Ethan and Joel Coen, and he agreed to do the movie sight unseen, and then he kind of regretted it because he said it was not a good movie. But yeah, that's his thing. You call him, tell him what the project is, and then he lets you know whether he wants to do it or not. So this is the legendary home of all four of the Murray brothers. Brian-Doyle Murray has been nice enough to sign an autograph to me through the mail, so he's even more one of my favorites. And I love that these guys are such fans of, they love minor league baseball and they love that kind of stuff so much that they're constantly seen at high school games, college games, minor league baseball games. So let's go see where they all worked. All the Murray brothers worked at this golf course. So the golf course is only a mile away. It's pretty much just like right around the corner and up the road. You got to assume they probably walked to work, and this is the way they would have went, straight down this road. Indian Hills Club. It was an actual country club, but just like Bushwood. But Bill did also work at another club that was a public course that people were known for just literally walking home from work, walking right through the course. Yes, this is the place. The inspiration for Caddyshack, and there was at the time actually a ton of caddies during the Murray brothers time here that would work, and they did have a Caddyshack, so kind of believe that this is where they would have entered. We're going to show you some of the course. So here's some of the holes at Indian Hills, and we found online this is where they all worked. Bill and Brian both worked here in the 70s, and I found an article with a guy who was a caddy then. He said back then you could get hired when you were 11 years old to come here, and he said when you would start working they would tell you, yes, this is the golf course that Caddyshack was based off of, but please don't bring it up while you're working because a lot of the people that are members here are who those characters were based off of, and we don't want to upset anybody. And he said he remembered specifically them telling the story about a woman out here hitting golf balls into the water and going whee, and he said, and when I saw the movie and I saw that scene, I was like, oh my god, they told us that exact story. So yeah, they would all caddy here, and I found an article with Bill where he was saying that a lot of the people that worked here, like the younger kids of the members, were kind of snooty and would kind of talk down to them, but their brother was actually a caddy and was trying, as Katie found, he was trying to get that scholarship, right? That Danny Noonan is...
It was actually his brother Ed.
Oh, it was Ed, okay.
It was Ed, so Brian kind of incorporated that into its own side plot, which is actually a main part of the movie, because that's essentially Danny going for the caddy scholarship. That's what sent his brother to Northwestern University, was, I believe, the Evans Scholarship. So that was something that really happened.
So yeah, so they all worked here. Joel worked here, Brian-doyle, Bill, and John. And a few years ago, actually, all of the brothers were inducted into the Golf Hall of Fame under the caddies, and to this day they raise money for charities and have golf outings and participate in golfing all year long. And it was actually this golf course that it all started. Kind of crazy. Of course, they didn't film the movie out here. They ended up filming that in Florida, but yeah, it's kind of funny to think that a lot of the people that were members here are who the characters are based off of. Now, Bill also worked at another place, another close by golf course, and there's an interesting story that I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, but we're gonna go over and check it out and just tell about what Harold Ramis remembered from the other golf course. Right over here in Evanston, where the train stop is the other golf course that we read about Bill working at. They've recently revamped it, but it was called Canal Shores at the time of Bill working here. So Bill's working days here were actually right after high school, from what I could find out, because Harold Ramis told this great story about how he was good friends with Brian-doyle Murray, and they were going off on a trip, and he said, hey, we gotta go to Wilmette and pick up my brother Bill, he's hilarious. And they came here, and Harold Ramis said that Bill was working at a snack shack here, and I found a posting from the Canal Shores Facebook page, and they were wishing Bill a happy birthday a couple of years ago, and said, did you guys all know that Bill Murray worked at the Mulligan Shack as a kid? So I'm not sure exactly what years he worked here, but we know in 1970 he was working at the last place that we were at. So this is the one that Harold Ramis said they came, picked up Bill, and took him off to Second City with them. So now Katie and I are going to take you over to the Caddyshack themed restaurant called Murray Brothers here in town. All right, we've made it over to the Murray Brothers restaurant that is inside the Crown Plaza. So they have two locations. One is in St. Augustine, which is its own kind of storefront, and then this one is inside the hotel. Eat, drink, and be Murray. Not the host stand. They got a picture of Carl Spackler, as well as a partial golf cart. And then they have some Bill Murray golf clubs when you first walk in. His name on them. We don't know if this one is Joel Murray or John Murray. Probably Joel. Murray Brothers do have their own vodka. And Brother Andy, since all brothers are in business here, he has a cookbook here. Here's a nice pop art piece of all the brothers. And then all the way around the restaurant, they have posters from different things, movies that they were all in, or like honorary throwing out the first pitch kind of jerseys you can see. And I believe Andy works here, so sometimes when you're here you can actually meet one of the Murray brothers. Quotes from Caddyshack written all over the place. Gunga, 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 luga. Pick up that blood. If you want to be replaced by golf carts, keep it up. Brian-doyle Murray's great quote. Here's a Groundhog Day poster back here. Life Aquatic, which is all Bill stuff. Quick Change. Stripes. And One Crazy Summer, our favorite movie that Joel's in. Then they do have a small souvenir shop here that you can buy some Murray Brothers shirts, but it looks like a lot of this stuff sold out. You can also buy Murray Brothers golf balls, since they're in the Hall of Fame. There's Brian-doyle. Kind of just a fun novelty to check out while you're here. And that's for Moving Violations. And here's some different photos of them at different golfing events. They do attend quite a bit. There's Bill with a baseball bat out on the course. Then we mentioned Ed. And that's all photos of Joel. Looks like. And for special events or big parties, they have a Loopers Lounge. Over here we have some more golf clubs from Pebble Beach. And the wall is adorned with like a poster size for each brother. Photos of them, as well as a little game room. And then when we came over to the exterior entrance, we entered through the hotel, but they actually have a photo of all of them out on the golf course together. It's in the hole. And then Brian-doyle's part in the movie for Caddyshack. A giant Caddyshack call sheet from the movie. There's John Murray with John Candy. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed our day of Murrays. If you're ever in the area, make a day of it and go explore the Murray history. Have a great night and goodbye.